The news continues 24/7, powered by our 4 sister stations in the Northwest.
Next on First Edition, on alert with a cougar on the move. What Northwest neighbors saw that made wildlife officials close off some popular trails. Good morning, everyone. I'm Cam Johnson. It's Friday, June 27th. You're watching First Edition. Let's get you started with a look outside. Stephen Kilbreth's taking a closer look at what we're facing out there this morning. Hey.
Well, good morning, Cam. The best thing you said is that it's Friday. The extended outlook, though, is sunny and warmer, and I'll tell you those details in just a few minutes, Cam.
All right. We'll check back with you then. Thank you, Stephen.
Sure.
New this morning, medics rushed 2 Western Washington post office workers to the hospital overnight. The Kent post office workers handled a package covered in an unknown type of liquid. Hazmat teams were called out just before midnight. The employees apparently found the package near the back loading dock. Now experts will determine what's inside that leaky package while officials try to track down the sender. Some neighbors in Washington County, Oregon are on edge this morning after 3 cougar sightings in 1 week. The sightings forced Hillsborough Parks and Rec to close down some trails at a popular wildlife area. News Channel 8's Tim Gordon has more.
I could actually see the pupils in his eyes looking at me. It was amazing.
Stan Hayes was out working in his hazelnut orchard when he heard something, turned around and saw the cougar.
And that's when we had eye contact. He was looking at me, I was looking at him, and I went, okay, you get really calm. You don't panic, you don't run, and you don't scream. You get very calm.
The sighting at Hayes Farm was the second today. The first was at the north end of the Jackson Bottom wetlands. A woman in a home bordering the preserve saw a big cat up a tree. On Monday, a trail hiker on the preserve made the first sighting and reported it. ODF&W and state police are taking the lead, helping deal with this unusual situation.
We have not heard of a cougar report in this area. At least myself nor my coworkers have heard this reported previously. So this is the first time for us, and we want to make sure we get it right.
Back at the Hayes Farm, Stan says he loves the wildlife he sees living in the country and near the preserve. But this cougar was something.
It was larger than a full-grown, large golden retriever. It was amazingly large cat. Every muscle was so, you could see every detail in the muscle on this cat. As he walked away, I'm going, oh, yeah, okay.
Officials called off the search for the cougar late last night. Parks and Rec is expected to make the call on whether they will reopen the trails later today.
No, there was a 10-foot snake living across.
I did not know. A 10-foot one?
Salem, Oregon residents are on the lookout this morning for a 10-foot long boa constrictor named Nomad. Nomad has been missing since Monday. Deputies say neighbors should be especially mindful of their pets and small children right now. The owner's roommate says the snake is harmless, that it's never bitten or hurt anyone. It's still not clear if the snake escaped on its own or if someone tried to steal her. A big mess in the inland Northwest this morning. Crews are busy cleaning up after heavy rain caused flooding at several downtown Spokane businesses. About a dozen people at the Interplayers Theater sprang into action after they realized yesterday's heavy rain was headed straight for the rehearsal stage and costumes area. The owner said she's not sure if insurance will cover all the damage. Down the road at Howard Street Boxing, the head coach spent his afternoon mopping up the floor. The home of the Winter Hawks Ice Arena in Beaverton, Oregon will stay closed for at least a week after heavy rain flooded that facility. Besides the hockey team, the flooding is also canceling events for 2,000 people who use the arena for different activities. In Southwest Washington, the Wednesday night rain left behind a big mess at Vancouver's Peace Health Southwest Medical Center. The employee parking area had to dry out after it got flooded up to 5 feet high in some places. Hundreds of teachers are turning heads. They marched on the streets of Seattle protesting the Gates Foundation. They call themselves the Badass Teachers Association. Protesters believe private money has too much sway in public education, leading to an increased focus on testing, using guidelines funded in large part by the Gates Foundation.
I find the notion that educators are reluctant to be open to these crazy, untested, and scientifically unproven ideas to be absolutely abhorrent.
The Gates Foundation is a major proponent of Common Core education guidelines, a controversial initiative to establish more uniform educational standards. Those behind the rally call Common Core unreasonable. The Gates Foundation has not yet returned our calls for comment.
I'm just telling you that it's a little bit louder than we've been instructed to tell people.
Well, I will make sure that we turn it down a little bit.
Are Portland officials going too far by cracking down on loud music at the last Thursday events? Some musicians are saying yes. Yesterday, the city started enforcing new noise rules. Musicians who can be heard from 125 feet away or about half a city block will be warned. Those who still don't keep the noise down will get a $250 ticket.
It's kind of, invasive considering it's once a month.
I think the city should be involved with public safety and only public safety.
That man is trying to start a nonprofit in an effort to take control of Last Thursday away from the city. The city says the new rules mean more musicians can play and neighbors can also have a reasonable sound level. Hundreds of athletes are in the final hours now of preparation for the Coeur d'Alene Ironman event. We spoke with one competitor in from Hawaii who's not just competing in his first Ironman, but his first ever triathlon. Organizers decided to continue the staggered start to the swimming portion like last year. Check-in for the event starts today at 10 a.m. and the big race kicks off on Sunday. Thousands of basketball players are headed to Spokane this morning for the start of the annual Hoop Fest competition. Hoop Fest is known as the biggest 3-on-3 basketball competition on earth. If you are playing, check in for the event. Runs from 11 this morning to 7 o'clock tonight. Game start tomorrow morning, rain or shine. If you're looking to enjoy some earth-friendly beverages this weekend, an event in North Portland is calling your name. Yesterday marked the start of the annual North American Organic Brewers Festival. This event at Overlook Park offers a couple dozen organic brew and cider options along with live music and food carts. Entrance is free, but you do have to buy a compostable, reusable cup for the tastings. People will be there, rain or shine.
Yeah, and I like all the fruit they're cutting too. That looked good too. A little fruit with all that, with
absolutely.
all the yeah, great. Well, it's going to be a good weekend in the fact that it is going to get better as the weekend moves along, and next week's looking real sunny as well. But today, not so much for Seattle today.
Well, those are pleasant temperatures anyway.
Yeah, not too bad.
All right, thank you, Stephen. Coming up on First Edition, the spice of life. An Oregon woman is using her retirement to make a difference and spread love one pie at a time.
The news continues 24/7, powered by our 4 sister stations in the Northwest.
This morning on First Edition, a Northwest police officer fights for his life after a traffic stop ends in gunfire. We have new details about one of the suspects. Then a heat wave hits the Northwest, why it could make your commute sluggish today. And excitement builds for Team USA's World Cup showdown where Northwesterners can catch the action. Good morning, everyone. Welcome to First Edition. I'm Cam Johnson. It's Tuesday, July 1st, and we are starting the month with one of the hottest days of the year so far. Take a look at this sunrise view from the Seattle waterfront a little bit earlier this morning. Isn't this beautiful? Mount Rainier with the Great Wheel in the foreground. The heat could put a kink in your morning commute today, though. If you are using the MAX line in Oregon, you need to be prepared for possible delays. News Channel 8's Kathy Marshall explains.
We can certainly feel the heat building already out here. Check out across the street. We're watching as the sun rises higher in the sky, just bouncing off that building over there. TriMet isn't expecting any delays this morning, but they say do expect some slowdown as we get into the heat of the afternoon. The threshold is 90 degrees here. When temperatures reach that level, TriMet says it is forced to slow the trains down. When we reach the hot temperatures during the afternoon commute, it will drop speeds by 10 miles an hour on trains in certain areas.
The overhead wires can sag, the rails can actually expand and get kinks in them.
Now, TriMet does remind you to plan ahead, give yourself some extra time when those trains slow down. If you do love the warm weather, though, no better place to be than Tom McCall Waterfront Park. We saw a lot of people out on the water, riding bikes last night, enjoying the fountain there, even the kids cooling off in the 185 jets in that fountain. You know, the city of Portland has more than 20 fountains around town. We expect those to get very busy this afternoon as those temperatures climb into the 90s.
Well, a hot day in the Northwest means a lot of people will be headed to the water, and a program in Seattle aims to keep kids safe. It gives swimming lessons at big discounts to children from lower income families, but the city says the cost of $3 a day is still too expensive for many families.
We've had families in the last week saying that they, would love to sign up their children, and there's not enough dollars, not enough money in our system to be able to do that.
So the city is asking for donations from the public, so kids' lessons will cost families just 70 cents a day. And we'll be glad that the kids have had swim lessons today when so many of them hit the beach, the pools, you name it, to get cool, right, Keisha?
Absolutely. We are looking at temperatures reaching the 90s in many locations. Clear skies for the next few days. We'll be heating up, but then we'll be cooling right back down again by the end of the week. Talk about that coming up.
All right, we'll probably be ready for the cool down by then, Keisha.
Yes.
All right, thank you. We'll check back with you in a few minutes. New this morning, police have identified one of the suspects in the shooting of a Vancouver police officer. James Sapp is in custody this morning. He has a long criminal history in both Oregon and Washington. Police say Sapp had an outstanding warrant when a motorcycle cop pulled him over yesterday in a stolen truck. The officer was shot several times. This morning, he is in critical condition. Police say the suspect's vehicle took off after the shooting, then crashed into a tree before two suspects took off running. Officers captured one man immediately. Witnesses say the other tried to find another getaway car.
The guy comes up to our window and he says, "You guys got to get me the hell out of here." He said it twice. He said, "You guys got to get me out of here. You guys got to get me out of here."
When they refused to give the suspect a ride, they say he assaulted another man and stole his truck. Police eventually tracked the suspect down and arrested him. We'll stay with NWCN for more on this developing story. You can also find additional information on our website, NWCN.com. We could learn more details today about a deadly officer-involved shooting at a light rail station in Seattle. 3 men were asked to leave the train when one of them couldn't prove he'd paid his fare. A King County deputy says one of the men pulled out a handgun and the deputy opened fire. Deputies performed CPR, but the man died at the scene. The shooting shut down light rail and rerouted passengers.
It's a tribute to the Seattle jurisdiction here to get this under control and make a good situation that could have been bad.
Investigators shut down light rail service for nearly 5 hours yesterday, but everything is back to normal this morning for the commute. A new law takes effect today allowing guns on public colleges and universities in Idaho. The law allows retired law enforcement officers and those with enhanced concealed carry licenses to have weapons on campus. The schools affected are now updating their security plans to be presented during a Board of Education meeting coming up in August. Right now, let's check in with our Portland affiliate for the latest on a deadly shooting investigation. News Channel 8's Russ Lewis joins us now with more on this. Good morning, Russ.
And Cam, good morning. Portland police are asking for anybody's help to find the person responsible for this deadly shooting. It happened in North Portland, and we want to give you the scene, show you what it was like out there last night, a candlelight vigil for the victim, 24-year-old Andrew Coggins. Neighbors say Coggins was killed yesterday afternoon in a drive-by shooting, and police now are looking into whether this was gang-related. Officers did interview several witnesses, including people on a TriMet bus that happened to be driving by when that shooting happened. Police in Vancouver, Washington identified 3 persons of interest in a huge fire that destroyed an apartment complex under construction. They released a series of surveillance images, and they want to hear from anyone who knows the people in the photos. The 2-alarm fire broke out on June 20th. Nobody was hurt, but the fire gutted that 91-unit building and caused more than $3 million in damage. Oregon State Police will crack down on impaired drivers this holiday weekend, and they're launching a no refusal period. That means police will work with prosecutors and judges so they can quickly get warrants to draw blood from DUI suspects who refuse a breathalyzer test. In Oregon, refusing to take that breath test results in a 1-year suspension of your driver's license. But some drivers, they're okay with that. They refuse the test because they're trying to avoid punishment, a greater punishment for a possible DUI conviction. So it may not get you out of the jail cell, Cam, if you just refuse the breathalyzer test, at least this weekend.
And maybe that will be a big deterrent for people as they make their plans for the holiday.
Yeah, I hope so.
Okay, Russ, thanks so much for the update from Portland. Have a great day there today. Try to find some shade somewhere.
I'm staying right here in the air-conditioned studio, Cam.
All day and all night. Just setting up a cot.
Yep.
Okay, we'll check back with you tomorrow.
Thanks.
The countdown to kickoff is on. Team USA gets ready to take on Belgium in the knockout round of the World Cup. Bars throughout the Northwest and the nation are expected to be packed for this afternoon's match. Some people are making bold predictions.
Belgium's going to be a good opponent, but I definitely think we can beat them. And then after that, most likely we'll be playing Argentina. And I think that'll really be a thrilling game as well. But I definitely see a chance of us getting out of the 16, out of the 8, and even moving into the 4.
Okay, so they're fired up. The Americans take to the pitch against Belgium at 1 o'clock Pacific time. And if you're one of those excited fans and you're looking for a place to cheer on Team USA, the Seattle Sounders and American Outlaws will host a live viewing party at the CenturyLink Field Event Center in Seattle. That is just south of the stadium. Doors open at 11 o'clock. The event is free.
Perfect day for just about anything. Perfect day to be outdoors. We have temperatures rising rapidly across the region, so perfect outdoor weather. And this pretty much the similar trend out for dry thunderstorms in some pockets. I'll show you where coming up.
All right, we'll check back with you in just a few. Thank you, Keisha. Still ahead, another Northwest community poised to ban marijuana after a new business gets neighbors up in arms. Then playing with our emotions, the fallout and privacy concerns over Facebook's experiment in today's Tech Talk. And harsh weather hurts an inland Northwest golf course, forcing an elite tournament to seek greener pastures. That and more when we check in with our friends in Spokane.